Let's do this one more time with the newest episode of Death Battle, Spider-Man versus Deku. This is an episode I feel I don't have much to say on. It's a fairly normal episode, it feels like. It's popular hero versus popular other hero. Though there is at least the clear connections between them in that they are both successor heroes, and also Horikoshi, the creator of My Hero Academia, likes Spider-Man a lot, to the point where he gave many Spider-Man-like abilities to Deku. And I guess because Miles has, his own unique set of spider abilities, they can have some differences. Still, it's not one that I was super excited about, but I'm okay with it. I definitely would have preferred Deku fighting Ms. Marvel, if only just because it would be more interesting to get Ms. Marvel on the show than bring back Miles. Especially Miles getting back before Peter does. I'm not that mad. I just think I would have liked to see Kamala. Though, what did I think of the episode? I thought it was pretty good. It's a pretty solid episode. There's definitely some issues I have during the fight, but I'll get there when we get there. Overall, pretty good. We brought these characters back, and I do like that they've kind of been, looked at differently since the last time they showed up. Especially because, how long has it been since Miles' last episode? Because Miles vs. Static was the premiere of Season 7 in 2020. So it's been 5 years. Deku vs. Asta was 170 in 2022, so it's been 3 years for him. It has been a minute since these characters have been on the show. Notably, My Hero Academia has actually concluded since the last time Deku was on the show, though it was pretty close at the time. But now it's fully done, and there's more anime. So now we don't have to guess what Gear Shift does. We know what Gear Shift does. But you know what? Now that we're just talking about that, let's get into the analysis with Miles Morales. So one thing I definitely appreciate about this one more than the last time he was on is, last time was very centered around his appearance in the Spider-Verse movie, because it was fairly new and people were excited about it. This time though, it feels more like we're focusing on his comic counterpart. Yeah, I like that it's covering the comics more than the movie version of Spider-Man. Especially because since that, he's definitely gotten a lot of push in the comics. He's getting kind of a lot of push everywhere. Since then, the second Spider-Verse movie has come out. Third one, still yet to come out. That's still taking a minute. But yeah, I did enjoy a lot of stuff. Some stuff I didn't know. I did not know he got a new vibranium suit at some point in the recent comics. And it does look pretty nice. Though, from watching a YouTube video recently that complained about Spider-Man Venom logos, I'm noticing it more on other suits as well. This suit also kind of has the legs going over the shoulders, which I think does look nice. It is a new look for him, but it still keeps his red and black color scheme. One thing that is only shown up in the black boxes and stats stuff, they don't mention it speaking, but I remember hearing a lot, is he's currently the Herald of Anansi, or Avatar or something, the African spider god. That's neat. He does look very cool, but also is not very useful in this context. He just kind of shows up to give him advice, not really help out in any useful manner. Cover a lot of just normal stuff. Cover his Spider-Verse, in comic stuff, because he's done a lot of Spider-Verse nonsense. Notably Spider-Geddon, which I think was the one where he kind of took charge, where he then gained the power cosmic, became Cosmic Spider-Man, and defeated the main villain with a sword vigor. That was sick. Also, we got to see Takia. He showed up on screen, and we saw Leopard on. So that's a good thumbs up. Now we just gotta wait for when they use him to fight Adam West Batman. That'll be fun. One weird thing they've done with Miles recently is kind of expanded his electricity powers to just full-on electrokinesis, because he can make electro webs and a sword, which does look cool, but it just feels like we are really diverging from what Spider-Man is. But it's nice that he's falling into his niche of being the electric Spider-Man, but it feels like he's the electric guy as opposed to the electric Spider-Man sometimes. But maybe that's me, just because I don't read many comics, especially big long comics that have been going for many years. I find that hard to hop into because I like to start at the beginning of things, which unfortunately is in the 60s. One thing that is much easier to start though is manga, so let's consider the other member of this fight, Deku. Now last time he was on this, as I said earlier, My Hero Academia was about to end, but hadn't quite. Now it has fully ended, so we can analyze the whole thing. And actually, I think there might have even been like technically new stuff, like a movie or something came out like last year. Yeah, there was one last year, which means there is like something new. I don't think they go into it that much, but also they don't really have to. But I haven't actually watched any of the My Hero Academia movies though. And it's been a minute since I've like kind of engaged with it, mostly because I read it mostly. Like the last season of the anime I watched, I think was like the third one. It was after All Might's retirement, but I think before the overhaul stuff. So it's been a minute. I'll probably get around to like just going through it whenever the last part of it is coming out, which I think is later this year. That should be fun. Yeah, and also because it's finished, now we don't have to like guess on certain things, like Gear Shift, which whenever they meet the last fight where he fought Asta, that wasn't included in the fight, or they had to like kind of throw in a little something that might have been that, because Gear Shift was revealed during production of the episode. I feel like I don't have like too much to say, mostly because the wiki hasn't been updated, so I can't fully remember what was going on in the episode without this reminding me. They did reference Deku vs. Asta in one of the side panels, whenever like one of his feats was "can't hit you really hard," which is, you know, a quote from that episode. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I kind of have run out of things to say. So let's just move on to the next part, which is the fight. And as always, we talk about the miscellaneous stuff first, such as the voice actors. So in this episode, Miles Morales is voiced by Christian Marty, or Mart. It's M-A-R-T-E. I don't know if you pronounce that E, so it's Mart or Marty. And this is his Death Battle debut, being Miles, which means that they have not brought back the same voice actor as Miles from the previous episode, who was Kai Jordan. I think they both do a pretty good job as Miles. But let's talk about the current one. A lot of fun stuff. I think he speaks more Spanish in this one, as opposed to the last one. He feels, I guess, older and more confident in this iteration. But again, that's because I think the last time was very Spider-Verse inspired. Whereas this is I guess later in his career, comic Miles. Good job as Miles. Voicing Deku in this episode is John Van Dorn. He's voiced a couple characters on Death Battle 4, being Shoto Todoroki and Ragnarok. Notably, also not the character that he was in this episode. As in that episode, he was voiced by Jose Estrada. And I think John Van Dorn does a pretty good job as Deku. The issue is just, I think due to jokes and the fact that the dub voice of Deku is a fairly easy impression to do, it never sounds the most sincere. I still think he does a pretty solid job though. Now, talked about the other signed part of the episode, the music. The music for this episode is You Say Danger by Brandon Yates featuring Trey Watson. So first things first, Neum, good. Good Neum, love it a lot. Song itself, pretty good and does fit the fight. I do quite enjoy it. The only issue I would say kind of fits in with the actual fight is that there's no big pop at the end, I think, but I think that's fine for a song. Overall, I think this is pretty good. It's another like kind of rap battle-ish type song, similar to What's Up Danger from Miles vs. Static. One thing that's pretty cool though is that the first verse, or the first half of the first verse that is, for Spider-Man, is in Spanish. That's pretty neat. The art for it it's okay. Gets across the idea. Overall, pretty good. It's not my favorite of the season, definitely. Because that still, I think, goes to Hell's Angels from Ghost Rider vs. Spawn. Because that one was really good. And also more just my taste in music as opposed to this. This is still good, it's just not the music I would listen to all the time. Now let's talk about the fight. So this one is animated by Moro. Moro being a very notable animator in Death Battle, especially this recent season, as they were the animator behind Bowser vs. Eggman, as well as Shigaraki vs. Mahito. The big change though with this one is that Spider-Man vs. Deku is seemingly in full 3D, as opposed to his usual, 2D with 3D assets. This is mostly 3D, which I think works. I think it looks good, but there's definitely some issues that I think is mostly this is their first fully 3D one. So there's some really nice parts and then some awkward parts. But some of them might just kind of be due to Deku's moveset. Notably Float, because it feels kind of weird that he's just kind of standing there in air and there's not really any motion happening. But also that's just something he can do. So it'll look awkward, but that's just kind of be how it is. And then some other moments. I think a lot of it looks really good as like screenshots. And then sometimes it works really good in motion, and then other times a little awkward in motion. Overall, it looks really nice throughout the whole thing. One thing that's really cool at the beginning and end of it is it does a little comic book moment. It looks a little weird, but that's just because, I don't know, I don't love the way motion comics look like the way this kind of does it. It looks very authentic, but a little awkward. But that's just, I don't care for the motion comic stuff. One thing I really like in this, though, is like we see Spider-Man swinging a bite, and then he sees Deku. But Spider-Man's in color, and Deku is not, because he's a manga character. Mangas are typically not colored. Get some fun back and forth. Again, we get that like weird float moment that I saw that I discussed earlier. And similarly, during the part where Miles essentially tricks him into a web and then does a big kick on him, which is a reference to Spider-Man versus Batman from way back when. I just think the bit where he like kind of gets caught in the web just doesn't look right. It just kind of looks a little weird. It's okay though. One thing I do really like is that it makes it very clear that Deku is constantly planning every move. Like we see him charge his quirks like kind of the entire fight up until the point he needs to use them. Again, another part I feel is a little awkward. It's very cool and I do like it, but kind of in screenshots essentially, is the part where after they get launched to the old part of the city and he kicks a building at him. I think it's mostly just because like Spider-Man like shoots a bunch of webs and then next shot like he's just kind of in the building. It feels like there was a bit that was like kind of cut for time, I guess. And also him like jumping through the wreckage of that building doesn't flow as nice as I would like it to. But then whenever he jumps out and there's the cool shot, you can forgive it. See him with like, they have like a scuffle. He lands on the debris and he's just kind of sitting on it. That's really nice. I like that a lot. He goes overdrive. And I think that looks really good, like the yellow on black. I think that looks, especially in that suit, I think it just looks pretty sick. I think the screenshot they showed for his old suit with like the V in it, I think kind of looks nicer. But, you know, you want to show him in his brand new vibranium suit. They have like the scuffle. He brings out the sword. It's fun. A lot of the moments they show for Deku here are also like very nice. I like the part where he, you know, pauses and does the gear shift. Since I didn't watch the anime at that point, I never really saw what that looked like in motion. I do like that it's very like angular and sharp movements. Looks cool. The scuffle they have is, I feel like a lot of, I think just the tweening between the cool poses just looks a little awkward. But then the part where like Miles like webs him and then does a big spin and throws him, that looks really good. And it's just, this fight is a lot of like really good, cool looking moments with kind of some awkwardness in between them. One of the nicest moments I did like in this is Deku calls him amazing. He's not amazing. He's the ultimate Spider-Man. That's great. And honestly, I prefer if he was like usually called the Ultimate Spider-Man, because having to refer to a superhero by their civilian name never feels good. Like, I'd rather call him Ultimate Spider-Man than Spider-Man brackets Miles Morales. It doesn't feel great. I would like if he had his own unique name, or at least a slightly more unique name than literally also Spider-Man. Again, just put a word on it. Then we get the big final clash, and it looks very good, but it kind of perplexed me a little bit at the end. I think this is a result of people being like, getting mad that like, oh, I can't believe you took this, you mischaracterized them to make the murder play. It's like, it's fucking Death Battle. Someone's gotta die at the end. Unless, you know, some fucking extraneous measure comes in, like they just can't kill each other. Like what happened in Scooby vs. Courage. But like it happens here and where like he accidentally kills Miles by going over the top. And just the way they do it just kind of reads off to me. It made it awkward. I didn't love it. Also, the way they showed it, it looked very cool, but it just, especially because like all we see is Miles explodes and launches Deku back. We don't even really see Miles. And I think like also someone's like, he like gear shifts Miles to essentially be standing still, essentially stuck in place while he punches him a bunch. It's alright, it's one of those like awkward things that kind of drags the fight down from all the really cool moments of it. I feel like the quality of the fight is it kind of goes up and down pretty heavily. Like, it doesn't ever goes down that far, but it goes up and down pretty rapidly for me. Like, it goes from like a fucking 9 to a 7 every shot near enough. So, Deku won. This was the expected outcome for a lot of people. Mostly just in the sense that Deku just had bigger numbers than him. Though, in comparison to the G1 blog that happened, interesting, they give them equivalent speed, whereas Death Battle here give the edge to Deku. I think mostly just in the sense of like, Miles is faster than Deku, but Deku can use his quirks to speed him up way past that. But overall, it felt pretty standard, just like one of them was just way stronger, and they kind of equaled each other in other ways, so that was the deciding factor. But yeah, overall, like this episode, there's not a crazy amount to say. I thought it was a okay matchup, it was a good episode, it's a solid episode of Death Battle. It's nothing blowing my mind, though. So, on the tier list, let's put it above the last My Hero Academia episode. It'll go above Shigaraki versus Mahito, because I think they're kind of on par with each other. A lot of similarities between them. It was good. I enjoyed it. What about next time, though? Which is...
Hulk is strongest there is!
Hulk versus Godzilla. So this is another of the Kickstarter matches, and it was also on the Tournament Champions, though it didn't make it past this week. This is actually a matchup that's been requested and talked about for a long time. For example, way back in season like 2 or 3, there was a Twitter poll made on which episode of Death Battle should they make with the Hulk. Should he fight Doomsday, Broly, or Godzilla? Doomsday won that, so they made Hulk vs. Doomsday. And then years later, they made Hulk vs. Broly. And now finally they're getting around to doing Hulk vs. Godzilla. What do I think about this episode? I think this episode, the interest in it depends on which way you look at it and which one you kind of want to win. Hulk fighting Godzilla? That's cool. That's a thing Hulk does frequently, fights big guys and big punches and such. That sounds like a cool, fun idea. Godzilla fighting Hulk doesn't sound like a lot of fun. It's a fucking giant lizard swatting a green fly, like, and then the fly won't die and just has to keep slapping him about. It doesn't compel me from the side of Godzilla, which is a big issue I have with the fight. It could be really good. We will have to see. I'm not sold on it, though, is my main thing. Never really was, but we'll see. Notably, though, this is episode 199. We're getting real close to episode 200, which initially was Ash vs. Yugi, but that has been pushed back, so it could be anything. My money is on Ruby vs. Maka. Big hopes on that, and we'll have to see. But until then, see ya.